Okay. Hello students. So I hope you have seen the first part of the video of January night. Now we shall do part 3 and part 4 according to your book. Take out your books, page 29. We're going to follow from the book also. So initially, as an introduction and as a kind of let me bring back what we have already done in the first part of the video. That we had spoken about how Premchand sympathizes with the peasants. Peasants as in the poor farmers, the Indian farmers, and how the peasants or the poor farmers are being tortured or have to face a lot of hardship by the capitalist, by the people who have a lot of money, the landlords, okay, to be very precise. So, how the landlords tortured the farmers, and we see through the life of Munni and Halku. Yes, these are the two characters that we have met, and we understand how sad it is that a farmer who grows his own crops, who toils all the year long, doesn't get much to eat. Yes, it is a struggle for him to even buy a blanket to protect him out in the cold. So we had left Halku out in the cold, remember? In the last part, Halku was out in the cold and Jabra, he was hugging Jabra, and they tried to keep each other warm in that. So we had left there, and we had noticed Jabra had suddenly started barking. He had suddenly started barking, but Halku said, "Come on, come out, come back." He's whistled to him and he asked him to come back. Now, in this way, another hour passed. So the night was proceeding and it was getting darker and darker. The night fanned up the cold with the wind. So, what is happening? As the night proceeded, the cold was getting higher. It was getting colder. So, the night fanned up the wind and the cold. So, the cold winds from the north were blowing in the night, and it was getting bitter cold. Halku sat up. He couldn't sleep anymore. He lost his sleep. It was too cold for him. That one blanket that he had, one old blanket, was very thin, and that could not help him. So he sat up. It seemed, now look at this, please mark in your book. It seemed as though ice rather than blood filled his veins. So he looked at his hand and his veins. It didn't seem as though there was blood inside. It seemed as though it was ice. It was so cold. He was cold inside. The cold had penetrated him inside, right inside, and it was terribly cold. It was biting onto him. So he leaned back to look up at the skies. Now he is looking up at the skies. Now why do they look up at the skies? In those days, farmers didn't have wristwatches. They didn't have wristwatches. They didn't have mobile phones. So where would they know what is the time? How much time is left? How many hours are more there for the morning to break? Dawn to break. So he looked up at the stars and the sky, and those gave them an indication. Now, how much of the night was still left is that question in his mind. The Dipper had not yet climbed half the sky. Now, what is the Dipper? Your books tells you that it is a constellation of stars, and it is also called the Great Bear because it's in a position of it looks like an image of a bear. It's actually 8 stars together, but only 7 are clearly visible. If you see, they're all together, they're sticking together, and but one of it, if you have a very keen eyesight, then you will be able to notice the 8th one as well. So that's why in Hindi, this Dipper is also called the Great Dipper. The Big Dipper is also referred to as the Saptarishi. They are called the 7 sages, Saptarishi. Saptarishi Mandal, they say. Why? Because they can't see the 8th star very clearly. That is why they say it is the Saptarishi. But ideally, it is a constellation of 8 stars, which are very, very clear, and you can make out in the sky. And by the position of these stars, he can make out what time of the day it was, of what time of the night it was, rather, to be more precise, not the day. Fine. So the Dipper had climbed half the sky, and by the time it was overhead, only then it will be morning. So the Saptarishi has to come up. But are the stars moving? We know geography. What is moving? The earth is rotating. So it is the earth which will, by the time it is going to be morning, when it is going to be morning, you will see the Saptarishi or the Great Dipper or the Big Bear or the Big Dipper right above his head. So night would last another 3 hours. So therefore, by looking at that position of the stars, he could make out that there were 3 more hours to go. So now he suddenly got an idea. Let's not waste any more time. 3 hours is quite a big time. So he needs to be warm, and he will die of the cold today if he doesn't take any precaution, because the blanket was not of any use. So he decided to go to the nearby mangrove forest. Mangrove means all mango trees, mango orchard. He wanted to go there and gather some leaves. Now it's winter time. Remember, winter time, the leaves are fallen on the ground, and so he thought he'll get some dry leaves, make some fire, and that will keep them warm through the night. Good idea, brilliant idea. So he decided to go there. He rippled some stalks from a nearby field, made a broom out of them. Then he took out some, and he took out some stalks also from the branches, the thin branches, and made a jharu out of it, cleared the place, and then a cow dung cake, a dry cow dung cake. Cow dung, you know what it is. So cow dung is again alliteration. And even before, when I said in the previous paragraph, when I said he leaned back to look at the skies, that is also alliteration, the l sound. And here the cow dung cake, the k sound. Fine. So the cow dung cake, he lit it up, and you can see a picture of how the cow dung cake is being lit. And in those days we didn't have lamps, we didn't have torches, but man knew how to survive. He made his own arrangements with simple things from nature. Nature provided us with all the solutions. Yes. So and he went to the grove because it was very dark there in the mango orchard. So there might be some wild animals lurking. So therefore he wanted to go and get some leaves. And Jabra, wagging his tail, he followed his master. Halku said, I can't stand it anymore. Jabra, come along, let's go to the orchard and gather some leaves to warm up. When we are toasted, we'll come back and sleep. So what is the meaning of toasted? When we are, like you have bread toast, you toast the bread, isn't it? The slice of bread. So here he wanted to toast himself in the warm bonfire that he's going to light up. Under the trees, it was pitch dark. The bitter wind blew and buffeting the leaves. Burr sound, burr alliteration, blew, buffeting, bitter, all this is alliteration. Why? Why do we have alliteration here? To stress on the bitter feeling, the bitter cold. Okay. And the drops of dew dripped from the branches. So that's a beautiful imagery, because it was very close to early morning, not much time left, 2-3 hours left. So the dew drops had started forming. Fine. And so it started dripping from the branches. The drops of dew dripped from the branches. Beautiful alliteration, the d sound. Now Jabra had found a bone. Very luckily he found some wild animal bone, and he started chewing on it happily. And but Halku, he started getting some fire. His hands were frozen, his bare feet numb, but he piled up a regular mountain of the leaves, and by making a fire, one of them, he'd burn away the cold. Now mark this expression. He will burn away the cold means what? He is going to scare the cold away by lighting up the fire, and as though the fire is going to burn the cold wind. Is it going to be true? It isn't. Remember, you've learnt alliteration. Now this is something called hyperbole, exaggeration. Hyperbole means when you do some exaggeration, when you don't really actually, it's not possible, it's not literally possible, it's not a logical possibility, but it's an exaggeration, burning away the cold. In a little while, the fire was burning branches. It was burning the branches, not the cold, but the cold was also going away. Halku sat before the fire and let it warm him. After a while, he took off his shawl and he spread on both the feet, and he was trying to say, come on, cold, I challenge you. Now I don't even have the blanket on me. Come on, try me. So he was trying to just enjoy the cold weather and enjoy the bonfire, because now he had become toasted, like he had used the word very sweetly. He has used the word toasted. He is feeling toasted. Why? Because he's feeling nice and warm and comfortable, and he spreads his legs and he challenges the cold wind to come and make him feel cold. He is not going to feel cold because he's warm because of the fire. So Jabra also says, I hope you're not cold, and he talks to Jabra continuously as though they share a wonderful relationship. I don't know whether they understood each other's language, but I'm sure they somehow caught some part of it. Yes. The leaves were all burned up. Now we are in part 4, the last part. The leaves were all burned up. Darkness covered the orchard again. Under the ashes, a few embers smoldered. What do you mean by embers smoldered? Some part of the leaves were the embers, the leftover. They were smoldering, means they were still sizzling in that light. It wasn't a fire, full blazing fire, but it was just getting put out slowly. The last stage when the fire dies down, that is the stage we are talking about. When a gust of wind blew over them and they stirred up briefly, and immediately when the wind comes, then what happens? The fire lights up again. Why? Why? You have learnt in the science class, I'm sure. Because of the supply of oxygen. Fire takes up the oxygen. So it blazed up again a little for a short while. Then after that it flickered out. What do you mean by flickered out? Out. It passes out. That means no more fire. Halku sat by the warm ashes, humming a tune. Now he is a happy soul. He is no longer cold and he is very happy now, and he started singing a song. He hums a tune. The fire had warmed him through, but as the cold began, he felt drowsy. Now, but the cold was coming back. The fire had died away. The fire had died, flickered out. So now the cold, it was getting a little, slowly, the cold was coming back. So Jabra gave a loud bark at that particular time when he was feeling drowsy. Mark it. Suddenly, Jabra started barking loudly, wildly, and he moved towards the field. Now this he knew, Halku knew. What is the meaning of this? That means there were some wild animals. The very purpose why Halku was guarding the field was because he wanted to drive away the wild animals. It is a common thing. The field was in full bloom now. It was ready for harvest, and so it was a wonderful treat for all the wild animals to come and graze in the middle of the night, because nobody is there, and so the wild animals, they come out to graze at night. The antelopes, the deer, some cows even. Okay. So Halku realized that this means a pack of wild animals. That means now by the sound of Jabra's barking, he could make out that there were some wild animals, and he was sure that it might be the blue buck. Blue buck is again an antelope, a deer, a very rare species of deer. So at that time in India, in northern India, they were very, very common to see. They used to come and plunder the fields at night. So the farmers used to guard the fields at night. They must be grazing. He began to hear the sound of nibbling. So what is the meaning of nibbling? Nibbling is another onomatopoeia. So the biting sound. Okay. He thought, no, with Jabra around, no animal can get into the field. He'd rip it to shreds. Means Jabra will go and attack them, and they will be in pieces. Ripping. Ripping means tearing them. Shreds, pieces. So they will be torn to pieces by Jabra. He was very sure. Says, but I must have mistaken, but there's no sound at all. So what happened? Probably the black buck, when they heard Jabra's wild barking, they kept quiet. They stopped eating. So when Halku was listening, he couldn't hear anymore. He said, Jabra, come, there's nothing. Jabra went on barking, but did not come to him, because the Jabra knows that the wild animals have come. Then again there was a sound of munching and crunching in the field. Now crunch, munch, all these are onomatopoeia. Yes? So all this, because it is the sound of eating. Who is eating what? The black buck, probably the wild animals. Let us be safe. Wild animals are eating away on Halku's harvest, the ripe corn. He could not have been mistaken this time. Now, this time he was sure. This he had no doubt. He heard. It really hurt to think of getting up from where he was, but he was toasted. He was nice and comfortable. Going out in that field means again that cold. And he would be so uncomfortable. It would be so unbearable. Going out in the cold. He shuddered at the thought. He was so comfortable. So from there only he said, hey, hello, hello, hello. These farmers, they say this to drive away the wild animals. So he kept saying that. But Jabra would not stop. Jabra kept on barking. Why? Because they're constantly eating. And Jabra cannot take that. My master's field is being plundered and looted. How can I keep quiet? He started going and barking in front of them. Come on, stop it, stop it, stop it. But they were not listening. There were animals eating his field just when the crop was ready. Now this is very sad. See, at the right time, just the crop was, all this while he had been able to guard it. Now just before the crop was being harvested, and a few days, maybe a 10 or 15 days left, and the black buck is coming and plundering. So this is not something which a farmer can take, isn't it? For so many months he has tended to the field, and at the last minute, to let it all go away like that, all for nothing. So, with a firm resolve, now he decided, no, Halku, he's trying to counsel himself. What is this nonsense? You're sitting here just because you're feeling cold, and all these months you've worked so hard, you're going to let the black buck get away with that? Get up. So he tried to get up. But suddenly a gust of wind pierced him with a sting like scorpions, such that he went back and sat again by the extinguished fire, stirred up the ashes to warm his chilled body. So what happened? Look at the alliteration and also the simile. There are two figures of speech here. Sting like a scorpion. Sting means when you attack someone with your poison, and it is a biting pain, a shooting pain. When a scorpion or a snake stings someone, it is very, very hurtful, very, very hurtful. You cannot tolerate that pain. But suddenly a gust of wind pierced him. But did a scorpion sting him? No, it was the wind. When he got up, suddenly a wind came, blew him in such a way, and it was as though it was stinging him. It was such a very, very intense, biting cold that stung him, and it put him back in place. He didn't have the energy to get up, the resolve to get up. He had decided, but that wind came, and he did not have the determination to get up again. It was terrible. This is what brings out the poignant part of the story. Can you imagine, for a farmer, all the months he's toiled so hard under the sun, and he has grown his field, and now he's unable to save his land. Why? The black buck attacking, and here the cold wind, and he has no money to even buy himself a blanket and keep himself warm. There are so many enemies of a farmer which he is constantly fighting on a day-to-day basis. Every day it is a battle for him. It is such a sad story. This particular point in the story is how a farmer is defeated by all the external situations, and how he had to give up finally. He allowed the black buck to eat and graze, and allow them to go, allow them to finish his field. Absolutely. Destroy his field. He knew that it was going to happen, but he let it happen. Why? Because physically he was actually beaten physically by nature, by the extreme harsh conditions of a poor man. Fine. So here it's very beautifully written. A sudden gust of wind pierced him with a sting like. Sting like is a simile. Now sting, the sir sound, sting, scorpion, such. These three sir sounds, it is trying to point out the deep pain of the farmer. He went back and sat again by the extinguished fire. He decided to be comfortable. His health did not permit him. Fine. Halku went on sitting peacefully near the warm ashes. His drowsiness held him motionless. He was feeling drowsy with that cold. He was numbed by the cold, as though with ropes, he felt as though he was being chained by some ropes and he could not get up. He was being bound by those chains, by ropes, as though somebody had tied him up. Who had tied him? The cold, the bitter cold. It had arrested him, did not allow him to get up. He did not have the energy, the courage to get up and face the cold out in the field. He just had to get up, and he had to shoo away the animals. The animals would have gone. But it was so cold, and that is why the name of the story is the January Night. Because the January Night is the real central character in this entire story. It's not Halku, it's not Jabra, it's not the landlord, it's not the black buck, it's none of them. But it is the January night, the dark, cold, bitter cold night, which is gaining prominence over everything else. And defeated Halku clean bowled. Okay, so when he woke up in the morning, it happened. The black buck came, destroyed the fields, they left, and Halku woke up in the morning. Munni, she comes charging. What have you done? Obviously, the field was being flattened. By whom? By the black buck. Field flattened. Again, alliteration, the first sound. Why? To point out how bad the situation was, that it was totally destroyed. To bring that, to focus on that, to stress on that point, this alliteration is being used. So Halku says, okay, so you have come from the field. Now you know the secret is out. Yes, the whole field is ruined and you could sleep like that. And she started abusing him. You went out. What was the use to put up a tent and sit over here and in the field? You could have stayed at home. You were sleeping while the black buck came and they flattened the field. So she was furious because she was worried. What would they do now? They had decided that they would sell the crop and get some money, and then they would pay off all their dues and debts. But now it's not possible. It's finished. So Halku now, what does he say? Offense is the best defense. So he says, I nearly died and you're worried about your field. It was so cold. I could have died last night. You know what happened throughout the night, and you are worrying about your crop. So immediately Munni loved her husband. So she did not say anything at all. Just like when your mother tries to tell you something. Why haven't you done this? Mummy, पेट में इतना दर्द हो रहा था. अच्छा बेटा, पेट में दर्द, दवाई क्यों नहीं खाया? मुझे क्यों नहीं उठाया बेटा? Yeah, and mummy goes on. Mummy forgets about the work that you were supposed to do. So Halku is acting the same tactics he's using. So, and Halku immediately Munni says, oh, was it so? Okay, come, let's go in. Then the two of them walked to the edge of their land. He looked, the whole field had been trampled. He could sense it, but this is now the first time he's seeing it. He didn't even have the courage to get up and go and see. Munni's face was shadowed with grief, but Halku was content. Now this is opposite. Munni was very sad, but Halku was happy. Suddenly, why was he happy at his own loss? Munni said, now you'll have to hire yourself out to earn some money to pay off the rent and taxes. Now you will have to work as a laborer in somebody else's field. That was the point. That was what they had wanted to do. With a contented smile, Halku said, but I won't have to sleep nights out here in the cold. So that was the only solace. So he was contented by the fact that, thank God, no more crops. I don't have to sleep in that cold night. So the January night out in the cold is so dreadful. Yes. So I will leave you with that thought, and we will meet in the online classes to discuss all the other questions. Okay. I hope you have understood the lesson now clearly and why the story was named January Night. And you must have enjoyed the various ways in which Premchand tries to bring in humor, yes, right at the end and in between, and how he tries with the character of Halku and sometimes with the character of Munni. He brings such a beautiful story and which will stay in our memories forever and forever. Yes? Bye bye.